Okay, we're back. Freedom Forum 2 on this great day of 11/14/2018. I was talking a lot about the caravan, or whatever you want to call it. They call it an invasion. It's what it's been listed as. I forgot the last number of people that are coming this way. They had 10 or 12 buses of them arrive in Tijuana. They're already trying to tear down fences and gates and all kinds of stuff. And these are people we don't need in this country. A group seeking donations for veterans care packages. These are some good friends of mine, and they really do an awesome job. I mean, I've known Robert Laban, who heads it up, for several years now, and really a dedicated person to getting these care packages to the veterans in the different homes. Let me read this. Shortage of donations for veteran care packages has a group of volunteers asking for help. For 13 years, the Acadiana Area for Veterans delivers care packages to veterans. However, the group is seeing a shortage in donations this year that helps supply the packages. We bring these care packages to them, showing that they're not forgotten, and we appreciate them, Robert Laban with the group said. He heads the group up. If we do not get these items, I won't have nothing to bring them. A lot of these veterans look forward to us coming to them because of a lot of them don't get visitors all year long. I go to the Jennings Veterans Home. I just did Halloween, collected candy. I collect stamps for them every so often and other odds and ends stuff that they might need for the Veterans Home. You'd be amazed what the government doesn't supply. What these guys are looking for are hygiene items, clothes, blankets, and more for the veterans. The group will be delivering packages until December 1st. If you'd like to make a donation, you can visit one of the drop-off locations in Lafayette. Those locations include Crown and Anchor Tattoos, 5905 Johnson Street. That's Crown and Anchor Tattoos, 5905 Johnson Street. The Louisiana DOTD in Lafayette, 428 Hugh Wallace Road. Believe me, folks, this is really a major, super deal. I've seen the looks on the faces of these guys when they receive this stuff at the veterans' homes. Or you can call 337-356-4579 for more information. That's 337-356-4579 for more information. Please support them and do what you can to get some of the things that they need. Call that number and they'll let you know. Also, what I forgot to mention in the first hour, on December 11th at the South Regional Library, starting at 6 o'clock, our guest speaker will be Jeff Landry, Attorney General Jeff Landry, who just announced he's running for re-election as Attorney General and not as governor. So we can take that off the table and take that rumor out the window that he's not running for governor. You know, I think the governor's race is going to be quite interesting. Having heard Billy Nungesser speak in New Orleans last night, it's been a busy week. And a lot of stuff that Billy talked about was pretty awesome. Some of the things he's been able to accomplish as lieutenant governor with our state parks and museums, and also increasing our tourism, and basically helping to supply other countries with our food. Now, today, there are 67 counties in Florida. It's really interesting that 65 of those counties completely follow the laws of Florida in the voting process. But 2 of them have made a mess and a lot of fraud and a lot of questions. Broward and Palm Beach. The best one I heard today was that Palm Beach was having trouble recounting because their voting machines were overheating because they're 10 years old. Excuse me, I worked in electronics all my life. I got a real problem with that. Unless they're running those things 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, I don't see how they would overheat. It's another BS thing. I saw this, you know, there's a big discussion about voter ID and how it's racist and it keeps certain entities from voting and all that. Well, this is just a small list of things requiring an ID, but not considered racist. Purchases alcohol, purchase cigarettes, open bank accounts, apply for food stamps, apply for welfare, apply for Medicaid, apply for Social Security, apply for a job, apply for a mortgage, for unemployment, hunting license, fishing license, rent a house or an apartment, buy a house or a condo, drive a car, rent a car, buy a car, register a car, rent a hotel/motel room, buy an M-rated video game, boarding an airplane, getting married, purchase a gun, purchase ammo for a gun, adopt a pet, get a prescription, donate blood, pawn shop transactions. Showing ID to vote is considered racist. How stupid is that? I'm going to give you a little history of the leader, Brenda Snipes. This came from 2016. These are the violations in 2016. Illegally destroying ballots. That's in May of 2018. Absentee ballots that never arrived, the Miami Herald, November 6, 2018. Fellow Democrats accused her precinct of individual and systematic breakdowns that made it difficult for voters to cast regular ballots. Posted election results a half hour before polls closed. A very clear violation of election law. That's on the 2nd of November. Sued for leaving amendments off of ballots. That's October of 2016. Claiming to not have the money to notify voters when their absentee ballot expired. November 8th, 2018. Having official staffers campaign on official time. Broward Beach, July 20th, 2016. Problems printing mail ballots, Miami Herald, November 2nd, 2018. Accusations of ballot stuffing, Heritage, August 1st, 2017. Voters receiving ballots with duplicate pages. Shows slow results and piles of ballots that cropped up way after election. Opening ballots in private, breaking Florida law. That's just a few of the things. I talked about the rule of law in the first hour. I talked about the rule of law. And this is some of the stuff that's taken place in Florida now to try and steal the elections. You know, I don't see how they can really have a legitimate recount in Florida. I don't. I don't see how they can have a legitimate recount in Florida. You got things going on there. Gillum and Nelson's lawyers fight to include non-citizens vote in Florida. Let me reread that. Gillum and Nelson lawyers fight to include non-citizens vote in Florida. The last time I checked, which was pretty recent, if you're not a citizen, you don't vote. It's that simple. I showed 2 videos last week of poll workers telling, yeah, it's okay to vote as long as he has a driver's license and he's registered, even if he's not a citizen. That's on videotape. You can't make this stuff up. The other video I showed, they were sending out the forms to register with 3 boxes X'd in. One of those said they were citizens. They had people filled it out, set it in, and they were allowed to vote. Where would this take place? Oh, Florida, Broward County, Palm Beach County. Remember I said there's 67 counties in Florida. 65 of them followed the law. These votes, what do they call them, provisional votes? They need verification. In other words, if they don't turn in verification within, I believe it's 48 to 72 hours, then the vote gets removed. And all of this is supposed to be taken care of within 48 hours after the election is over. And what week are we in now since the election? Let's see, when was the election? November 8th? Was it November 8th? And this is what? Today is the 15th? So it's 7 days. 7 days. And they still haven't recounted all of them. I, for the life of me, don't know why McSally conceded in Arizona, because I found out talking to my brother-in-law who lives in Arizona that they still had 160,000 votes to count. So that's very interesting to me, why she would concede. And so the commissioner said, well, we don't need to count the rest of the votes. Excuse me, but in Florida, Gillum and Nelson say every vote should count, including non-citizens. Lawyers for Florida Democratic candidates Andrew Gillum and Bill Nelson both fought to prevent a non-citizen's vote from being excluded Friday night, according to the transcript of a Palm Beach County canvassing board proceeding obtained by the Daily Caller News. Michael Barnett, chairman of Palm Beach Republican Party, told the DCNF that the county's canvassing board was going through provisional ballots and quickly deciding whether to allow or disallow. This exchange is the first of non-citizen votes that we encountered. We had a court reporter that we hired to sit in the proceedings, which are public, and he said, and they have a list here, like the vote was disallowed, denial, not a U.S. citizen. Despite the objections of lawyers, first one of these we've seen, because 2 of the 3 members of the canvassing board ruled that it was impermissible vote, he said. Mark Ellis, a lawyer for Nelson, told the DCNF the lawyer who was present was not someone who had authorized to make such objections. Non-citizens cannot vote in U.S. elections. Let me read that. Non-citizens cannot vote in U.S. elections. He did not explain how the lawyer, Mr. Scarcola, came to be representing Nelson's interest in Palm Beach. Barry Richards, a lawyer for Gillum, did not immediately return requests for comment. I wonder why. These guys want illegal votes. They will do anything to steal the election, legal or illegal. Mostly illegal. And then we have this. 53,000 dead people on Florida's voter rolls. Huh? Early voters fill out their ballots as they cast votes before the general election date scheduled for May 24th. Florida's local election supervisors reacted with skepticism Wednesday to a push by state authorities to remove thousands of potential non-U.S. citizens from the voting rolls, only months before the 2012 election in which the coveted swing state will play a key role. Supervisors meeting at an annual conference. Recent examinations of Florida's voter rolls has several irregularities, including 53,000 dead people, 2,600 immigrants who entered the country legally but are not U.S. citizens. Note, they're not U.S. citizens, so they can't vote. State officials said there may be as many as 182,000 registered voters who are not citizens. The state's 67 county offices must now reach out to potentially ineligible voters to assess their citizenship status. State election officials want the state's 67 county election offices to reach out to those potentially ineligible. But election supervisors, including Democrats and Republicans, ask a range of questions about the level of proof that state election officials had regarding citizenship status of voters, which was called by comparing voter registration lists to driver license database. They still wanted more information. I'm feeling really uncomfortable about this. Broward County Supervisor of County Supervisor of Elections, Brenda Snipes, told officials with the State Division of Elections. Gee, Brenda, I wonder why. 2016. She did the same thing in 2016. How does she still have her job? This is what I'm talking about. They break the laws. They do everything. They break the laws. You know, I don't get it. And Scott, the governor, the present governor who was running for the Senate, he didn't take care of business in 2016, and he left that lady in office. Corley pointed out how two voters on the department's list given to him wound up being born in Ohio and Massachusetts. One of the names wound up on a list of non-U.S. citizens because the driver's license numbers used to check citizenship had one number wrong on it. And you know, just goes through one example after another. No voter fraud or anything. One of my favorite ladies here is Judge Jeanine Pirro. I think she should be the AG. She should take the temporary guy's place. I would like to see jets scrambling out of the United States. What do you think? Saturday on Fox News Channel, Justice host Jeanine Pirro slammed Broward County, Florida election supervisor Brenda Snipes for her handling of the Tuesday elections. Snipes, Broward County is at the center of a recount controversy that it has decisions on 3 statewide elections in Florida on hold. U.S. Senate and Florida Governor and Agricultural Commissioner. That Agriculture Commissioner position is very important commission. Peer pointed out discrepancies in Snipes' count, which included questionable ballots and missed deadlines, which he deemed to be fraud. Let me tell you what a mess we are in, Pirro said. There are reportedly thousands of newfound ballots. Isn't that kind of interesting that these ballots are found? They saw ballot boxes being loaded into private rented trucks. But nothing wrong there. That's okay. Do you think a woman who doesn't tally or canvass along the way, who loses thousands of ballots, who doesn't want to turn them in 30 minutes after the polls are closed, with like 3,139 counties, other counties do, should be trusted? Do you think she should be allowed to view 5 times? Because that's how long the ballots are, 5 pages of thousands and thousands of missing ballots. Folks, this is lunacy. Voter fraud is insidious. It causes people to think their vote doesn't matter. But it's worse than that, folks. There are reportedly transcripts that now prove that when the Democrats say they want every vote counted, they mean it. Yes, that's what I said. It's not just your votes, it's illegal votes that some lawyers in these canvassing hearings for Democrats want counted. Seems to me the Democrats will do anything. Good Lord, I'm never going to get to that. Breaking. Criminal investigation now underway in corrupt Broward and Palm Beach counties after tens of thousands of votes appear. Fox News host Sean Hannity announced on Monday night a criminal investigation is now underway in the corrupt Broward and Palm Beach counties in Florida. This repeated itself. The same thing happened in 2016. And here we are in 2018 election, one of the most important midterm elections in a long time. And here we go again. On election night Tuesday, Rick Scott and Ron DeSantis easily won their races in Florida. Heard that? Now Democrats are working to steal the elections. Then Democrats in Palm Beach and Broward counties started manufacturing tens of thousands of new votes for several days. By Saturday, Scott's lead went from 83,000 to 12,562. DeSantis' lead also struck by tens of thousands of votes. On Tuesday, Broward County Supervisor Brenda Snipes reported 634,000 votes were cast in the midterm election in her county. On Friday morning, Broward County election officials said 717,000 votes were cast in the midterm. Broward County Democrats have mysteriously found 83,000 votes in 2 days. And you see in the 83,000 votes, nobody voted for a Republican. Huh? All Florida counties met the latest deadline on Saturday at noon to turn over their election totals, except 1, 2. Governor Rick Scott leads Senator Nelson by 12,562 votes after 3 days of Broward and Palm Beach counting. This is down from 80,000. Massive voter fraud is being witnessed by observers in Palm Beach County and Broward. Sean Hannity announced on Monday there are now criminal investigations. That page got in here. I might go after that. Jeb Bush calls for removal of Broward County election supervisor he appointed. Jeb Bush appointed this lady. That's just gets better and better. The latest I heard about this lady is that she's going to retire. I don't know why criminal charges haven't been already. If she retires, she gets a really excellent retirement after having created all of this stuff and not doing her job, or doing her job for the Democrats. Former Florida Governor Jeb Bush is calling for the removal of Broward County Election Supervisor Brenda Snipes, a person he appointed over a decade ago to fill a vacancy. Ms. Snipes, a Democrat, went on to win 4 elections to cement her hold on the heavily Democratic county's election machinery in a career marred by allegations she violates the law. She is at the center of an ongoing disputed recount to decide Florida's next governor and U.S. senator. There is no question that Broward County Snipes failed to comply with Florida law on multiple counts. Not being arrested. Undermining Floridians' confidence in our electoral process. Mr. Bush said in a tweet, Supervisor Snipes should be removed from her office following the recounts. What do you mean, following the recounts? She shouldn't be involved in the recounts. My understanding is, to cover her butt, they put the false voting things, mixed them in with the real votes. Huh? Governor Rick Scott, who leads Democratic Nelson by 12,000, filed suit last week alleging Ms. Snipes violated state law by not reporting all voting results on Election Day. She announced on Saturday she has submitted all votes to the state. In the governor's race, Republican Ron DeSantis leads Tallahassee Major Andrew Gillum by 32,000 votes. What I liked was the girl Graham in Georgia. She says, we'll just keep doing this until I win. There's some dispute that the other guy had used his power in office to remove 300,000 voters from the rolls. I haven't seen that, but I've been told several times. And I need valid printed proof of that, because to me that would be malfeasance in office. Mr. Bush appointed Ms. Snipes to replace other scandal-scarred supervisor Miriam Oliphant, who was removed after allegations of corruption in 2002. Seems like they can't find an honest person to do their business down there. Ms. Snipes has been dismissive of reporters' questions about how her workers found tens of thousands of uncounted votes in the days following November 6th. This is not the first election in which a judge accused her of breaking the law. The court ruled she violated election law by destroying paper ballots after 12 months instead of legally mandated 22 months. Seems like this girl just... But here's the deal. She's still working there. Really? I mean, she hasn't been fired. She hasn't been removed. She hasn't been brought up on charges. Here's the latest, the Palm Beach Post. This is updated on November 9th. Broward County judge ruled in favor of Governor Rick Scott in his campaign for the U.S. Senate on Friday afternoon. Said the county's election supervisor must provide records to Scott regarding how many people voted, how many ballots have been canvassed, and how many ballots remain to be canvassed. That must be done by 7 p.m. Friday, which was last week. Phillips said Supervisor Les Snipes violated the law, violated the Florida Constitution and the state statutes by not providing the public records. I keep reading, one violation after another, but this lady is still in charge. The National Republican Senatorial Committee and Rick Scott for Senate filed the lawsuit Thursday evening. Scott's attorney, Jason Zimmerman, said they requested the records Thursday before noon and 1 p.m. He said Snipes should have provided the documents to the state, and Snipes should have been able to easily provide them to Scott's team. Zimmerman said the case is a public records case and is not a partisan issue. Snipes' attorney, Eugene Pettis, said Snipes never refused to deliver the records. She simply needed a reasonable amount of time to do so. She had a reasonable amount of time. That she would not, Snipes never told them she would not provide the information. They just delivered it 26 hours ago, Pettis said. The backdrop of this is that Governor Scott does not believe that it's moving fast enough. That's what he said on TV. Leonard Samuels, attorney for the Florida Democratic Party, said there couldn't be a worse time to get these records out and is concerned it could slow down the process of counting votes. That all was supposed to be done and handed in well before this. The Florida Democratic Party is here to make sure all votes are counted. We were here in 2000 to make sure all votes were counted. Judge Phillips, acknowledging that Broward County is again under microscope, said the information requested should have already been compiled. It should be there. It should not slow down proceedings. So they lost in court. Here's an interesting Dan Bongino. I like this guy. The hidden significance of gun control in the Florida election recount. One of the most pressing and underreported issues surrounding the Florida midterm election recount is gun control. The state of Florida is unique that instead of having law enforcement or courts handle concealed weapon permits, they are issued by the Department of Agriculture, which that guy is one of the three that's involved in this deal. The American Thinker puts it, capturing the Florida Agriculture Commissioner's post would be a key victory in the liberal and progressive push for gun control. GOP Agriculture Commissioner Matt Caldwell declared victory last Tuesday evening after leading the race by 40,000 votes. However, as of November 10th, Democratic candidate Nikki Fry led Caldwell 4,030,370 votes to 4,025,000, about 12,000 or 5,000 difference. The vote difference falls within the 0.5% margin requiring a recount. Caldwell filed a lawsuit against Broward County Supervisor of Election, Brenda Snipes. She got all kinds of lawsuits against her, asking the court to protect the integrity of all ballots and all public records relating to the election for Commissioner of Agriculture. Caldwell discussed his lawsuit with the WLRN, the station. Any supervisor in the state is able to tell you what kind of votes they had cast, whether it is vote by mail, early votes, or election day votes. When those were tagged in the system in order to prove that they were cast before 7 on Tuesday night, and the Broward supervisor has been unable to answer that question. On Wednesday, we asked, Thursday, we asked, Friday, we asked, so ultimately filed a lawsuit just to produce the records to see what the situation is. Freed, an American Thinker, points out there is no friend to the Second Amendment and is in favor of more gun control as well as making concealed carry permits much more difficult to obtain. She openly states that her goal is to make it much harder for Floridians to exercise their Second Amendment rights. and she apparently thinks she's running against the NRA rather than the GOP challenger. I honestly feel that what we have here is actually a test for 2020. I mean, voter fraud just wasn't significant in Florida, Texas, Georgia, and I honestly believe probably in just about every state in the United States. California. You don't hear much about that in California. What you don't hear about is the mainstream media. So much for that. What I have here in front of me is the Home Rule Charter. I'm going to kind of walk through this in a little different way here. I got a response. I asked some people. I call it the council divorce. What I'm talking about is the 14 amendments to the charter that are going to be on the December, 8th or 6th ballot, whatever it is. But this was written to me by someone that was pretty much on the same team here. I called it the council divorce. It's like they're going to separate. I want to read this first, and then with the help of someone else, I'm going to walk you through and show you how the average citizen, we need more time. Okay. It says, here we go, Jim. I'm sure if one were to read the charter amendments, there would be many more reasons than what I list below. I admit I did not read the charter amendments. My reasons are derived from what I read in the newspaper and interviews I heard with the charter amigos on KPEL. Number one, I do not trust anything coming from this LCG council and administration. I believe that all the issues the council and administration are proposing right now are based on behind-the-scenes wheeling and dealing, doublespeak, and hidden motives. I have heard that from a wide variety of people. They just don't trust. They don't trust this council. I had someone tell me this is the worst council in all his life. Number two, when William Terrio asked Robideau at a council meeting, and I was there when this took place, meeting what Robideau thought of the charter amendments, Robideau replied, this is unbelievable. I've not had time to study the amendments. And here's the kicker. And Robideau has never added any public input about the amendments since that leaderless, irresponsible comment. You are in charge of the parish and the city, and you haven't taken the time to look at the charter amendments that you got to approve? Unbelievable. Why not wait, number three, why not wait until 2020 census to compose and propose charter amendments? Even though the charter amendments as currently proposed do include new council districts, the 2020 census could easily erase those new council districts and the process would start all over again. In my eyes, that is the biggest statement on the whole deal. Why are we in such a rush to push this through? Because down the road in 2 years, there's going to be a census. And the fear is, if you would, and I had a chart, I don't know what I did with it, but it showed how the population of the city of Lafayette has been ever decreasing, and the parish has been growing. The unincorporated areas, Doosan, Carencrow, Youngsville, Broussard, people are moving into those areas. So what their fear is that the balance of power, in other words, the unincorporated or parish areas, will be greater than 50%, and will have overtaken the city of Lafayette. So why not wait till 2020 and give the people more time? Number 4, why do the proposed charter amendments propose 2 separate planning, zoning, and development departments? Bigger government, one for the city and one for the parish. Since no answer has ever been offered by elected officials, I must arrive at my own reason for this unnecessary growth of government, which is the land use regulations are much different and more stringent. And I'm going to add something to this that was brought forth at the Acadiana Patriots meeting, and more stringent for unincorporated parish. Plan Lafayette. I want you people to understand, the people that developed Plan Lafayette were from New York. Just saying. You know what New York stands for? Just saying. And the Unified Development Code both express the desire to curtail or end low-density development in the parish. Therefore, in order to prevent a citizen from building a single-family home on 2 to 3 acres of land, a separate and draconian PCD department is necessary to stop low-intensity living. You understand low-intensity living? They just described it. You buy 3 acres of land, put a 2,000 or 2,500 square foot house on it, develop the land. They don't want that anymore. Oh, Jim, there you go. I'm telling you. I'm going to tell you someone that went to purchase some property. That is why a PCD department is proposed for the unincorporated parish in the charter amendments. The move is wasteful and unnecessary and is also massive government overreach, which is contained throughout the Plan Lafayette and the UDC. This subject came up at the Acadiana Patriots meeting last week. And one of the people present in there said they went to purchase 10 acres of land to develop, to build a home on. And when they went to apply and check this out, they ran into the UDC code. First of all, no development could take place on that property for 10 years under the code. What? How is somebody going to sell that land if you can't develop it? A second thing that came up in that was about that is that there was a subdivision next to where this land was. And so what the individual that wanted to buy this property had to do is he had to put an 8-foot high fence all the way around the property. Now, any roadways and stuff that were put in there had to be blacktopped before you built the building. Now, you know what? There is a development that I drive by every day, and now, as I heard this person speaking, I realized what they did. They built all the roads before any house ever went up. Curbs, everything were in there. So they followed the code. So this individual said till after he got looking at the cost, before he could do anything on the property, he would have to spend at least $100,000. So guess what? You can buy the property. And that guy's gonna, whoever owns that land's gonna have a heck of a time selling it. Who's gonna purchase a piece of property, 10 acres, didn't say what the cost was, but to have that big of an investment, and it has to sit there for 10 years. This is the UDC code. I didn't make this up. You go look up the UDC code. Check it out for yourself. And I just listened to the individual explain all the crap he went through and had to go back and tell the person he was purchasing it from, I'm not buying the property. This is what we're talking about in sustainability. They want rack and stack in the city and no suburban development. Don't believe me? Go buy the book called Sustainable by Tom DeWeese. Just read it. Guy's really well versed on the subject of sustainability. You see, when I ask questions about, you know, the change in the charter, it was Bruce Conk, and I said, you know, they said, well, this all came out in about January, and they were working on that for 4 or 5 months, 4 of them, out of the 9 on the council, developed this, you know, idea to amend the deal. And I said, so if you've been working on this since January, and this is the first I hear about it in July or whatever it was, I said, that's a short period of time. And he says, oh no, we've been working on this since 2011. I've been living here since 2011, and I hadn't heard anything until June or July of this year. Excuse me. Then this person said, I'll end where I started. I do not trust anything coming from our local government. I'm going to tell you what, I've heard that endless times in the last couple of months. The night that the council voted to put the charter amendments on the December 8th ballot, 16 complicated amendments were added to the amendments. Citizens should look at this type of smoke and mirrors bait and switch with great skepticism. LCG cannot be trusted. I call it the council divorce. Okay. This is a well-documented list. This is what you, the citizen, need to know. I have the document in front of me. It's, how many pages is this? Oh, it's only 74 pages. So you need to study this by December 8th. Yeah, 73, 74. It's only 74 pages long. This list goes through step by step of all the different changes that are being made to the charter. The first one says changing the city council districts. And I went in here, I started to go through and highlight and read each one of these. Good Lord, I need 3 or 4 hours to get through and read everything. At a minimum. The deal is, I've listened to so much. When I listened to Carol Ross and Andy Hebert the other day on her show in the afternoon, my head was spinning. Good evening, my friend.
Good evening, my fellows of Florida. This is Big Mouth. I know time's getting short, but I didn't want to interrupt you earlier. I just want to make a couple comments on some of the stuff you talked about earlier. I know you have a good memory, and you've been on me long enough to know I don't make many predictions, but usually when I do, they come true. In Florida, DeSantis will be the next governor, Rick Scott's going to be the next senator, and Kemp's going to be the next governor of Georgia. They can count to the cows come home. And then I have another comment. What is wrong with the people in Arizona? You realize, Jim, they just elected one of the most left-wing goons that I've ever seen, man.
They didn't elect her. I had a conversation today with my brother-in-law in Arizona, and they're trying to figure out why she conceded with 160,000 votes needed to be counted yet.
You realize they just elected, well, whatever.
Well, they elected another Flake. And Flake...
You know what she said? When she gets in office, I wasn't making some calls to her office, trust me. I call somebody every day. I didn't exaggerate. Every day I call somebody.
Yeah.
One, maybe two, either a congressman or a senator. She said, aside from some of the loony stuff she also said, you ready for this, people? I'm paraphrasing. It's okay with her if an American citizen joins the Taliban.
Yeah, I know.
Are you kidding me?
Well, I know.
Are you kidding me?
Because of my brother-in-law living in Arizona,
Unbelievable.
I know a whole lot more about that Republican regime out there.
And my last comment is, I'm going to say this every week for the next two years or a little longer. Alexandria, what do you call him? Cortez, is the most ignorant woman to ever be elected to Congress.
This is going to be a trip, a comedy show, I call it. Hey, man.
And her three compadres, three other idiots. I call them the Four Stooges.
Oh, yeah.
On domestic policy, she knows absolutely nothing. On financial matters, she knows absolutely nothing. And on domestic policy, she knows, if this is possible, on domestic policy, she knows absolutely less than nothing. Talk to you later. Keep up the good work, Jim. Thank you, Papa.
All right, buddy. Thanks for the call. Happy Thanksgiving. Before I forget, I need to let you know next Wednesday, Freedom Forum will not be aired. They close AOC at 5 p.m. So we'll be back on the 28th, hoping to maybe have Andy Hebert on with me to go through these. People, I want to tell you something. You see this list, just goes through and goes to different things. And it rolls on the back. That is what you have to study by December 6th in order to vote on this. You know what? This don't fix anything. And it creates three councils. The unincorporated council, the city council, and the general council to make decisions. I can't go into all the details because I only got about a minute or two left. I wanted to get to this earlier, but there's just a whole lot of other things. Yeah, we won't be on the air next week. Well, we weren't going to be anyways, but the thing is that AOC closes for Thanksgiving. Speaking of Thanksgiving, I hope everybody has a great and wonderful Thanksgiving. Spend some time with their family. Eat a lot of turkey or whatever you like. It's really been a pleasure. You know, this month is a month that's difficult for me on this show because it's right before Thanksgiving. I think it's 3 years now that Tom had his stroke. still the same. I feel honored that I can sit here and carry on Freedom Forum in his legacy. He's the one that started this. He's the one that people said, you're crazy, and now all the stuff he talked about is happening today. So I bless him and his family, and I miss you greatly, Tom. I really miss you, and I learned a whole lot from him while I had the opportunity. God bless America. Hang in there. We're going to win this battle. Just got to get a few more of you off the couch. This really is truly a great country. And as long as I've lived, I've never seen such an atrocity of people in this country that want to make it not America. God bless all of you, and have